Constitution itself grants Parliament the right to disqualify for periods of time. The only argument left is that since this matter falls in 62(1)(f), therefore Parliament can't do it. Where's the logic of this? I don't understand the logic of it. At the end of the day, बाकी नैब लॉ में उन्होंने 10 साल कर दिया है, दूसरे लॉ में ये कर दिया, फला कर दिया है, क्योंकि 62(1)(f) में नहीं है तो हम और ज्यादा कर देते हैं. मुझे I don't understand. I mean, everything must be logical. I mean, we are not philosophers determining points or fine points. What is the logic? How will you persuade? After all, this document is not for lawyers. This document is for the people of Pakistan. Please explain to the people of Pakistan why a NAB convict will get 10 years disqualification, another will get this type of disqualification. But if in your nomination paper you have a provision, and I can ask you this question and let's see if you can answer it correctly. It says how much gold you have in grams. Will you go to and weigh it at home? How much gram gold you have, you make a mistake in that, or forget to mention a ring that you're wearing or your wife is wearing, and you are disqualified for life. Please explain. I mean, let's not get so bogged down in constitutional niceties where people of Pakistan lose trust in the constitutional document of Pakistan. That is very important. Please explain it to, because you are on live television, explain it to the people of Pakistan, the logic of it.
My Lord, because it's a 5-member bench judgment of this Honorable Court, may I respectfully submit that the logic is too subtle for me to decipher. I find
you can assist us.
And I presume you are fairly educated, Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan.
My Lord, I would like to think so, because otherwise I would not be qualified to practice at this bar, my Lord.
So talking about logic, which the Honorable Chief Justice, and taking that further, if a convicted person, a conviction, as you said, stays, if a convicted person can come back and contest election, so it appears that the Constitution is treating election as a totally different ballgame.
Yes.
And looking at convictions and decrees.
Yes.
So if a person who's convicted can come back, then a person with a decree can also come back.
And my Lord, some of it may have history behind it. Your Lordship may look at AG. Much more than an offense of moral turpitude is the offense of somebody who is historical basis. If we go back in the history of the world, not just Pakistan, it has a historical basis. My Lord, the Americans fought a civil war. 2 states, there was a confederacy and there was union. Mr. Jefferson Davis was the president of the confederacy. Mr. Jefferson Davis, the prosecution against him collapsed. His vice president, 2 years later after the Civil War, was elected to the US Senate. Why? The idea was to bring the union together, not to keep the people permanently disqualified from participating in the democratic processes, because it is participation in the democratic processes which holds the union together. Who was the vice president? My Lord?
Who was the vice president?
My Lord, I have the name, I keep forgetting it. G. Sorry.
The American history.
Alexander Stephens.
And he returned to the Senate in January 1866 and but to General Sherman, saying that, you know, as president, I would be bound to oppose Jefferson Davis getting away. But if unbeknownst to me, Jefferson Davis were to escape, I would not hold it against you. So he was basically saying, now that the union has won the war, the country has come together, look the other way, let healing take place, let reconstruction take place.
He's saying the Constitution talks about strengthening democracy through the process of elections.
Yes.
And it is saying that even convicted persons who serve their terms will come back and participate, because participation in election is perhaps a larger principle at work. People need to come back into elections because that then strengthens democracy.
Yes, my lord.
And let the people to decide who is righteous, who is Amin, who
And
is
Makhdoom sir, I just wanted
My
to
lord,
know
my ladies.
whether this part of the article is towards the whole society, the court be giving a decree against the whole society, like he is dishonest towards the whole society, or what? Like if I have a problem with someone and the court pass a decree against me in that particular case, but towards the whole society, I'm a very pious person, rightful, what would be the effect of that decree?
Your lady.
Why should that constituency, the people of that constituency, lose a rightful person? But in a particular matter, he was declared as a dishonest person.
I bow to that observation. That is absolutely correct. That, and to taking from that, your ladyship's observation to what my Lord Mr. Justice Mandukhel identified, that is really the issue over here, that you have created both a debt to society concept and you have created a civil court. My Lord, the court talks about af or toba or forgiveness. Now, how will the forgiveness come? They say that forgiveness is to come and this declaration is to be remained till it is removed. How will it be removed? My Lord, take the example of the applicant intervener in this case. This honorable court disqualified him. Could he have gone to the civil judge Lodra and got a certificate or a declaration after 2 years or after 6 months or 2 months that I have become very penitent, I am pious, and now please give me a certificate that I am non-profligate, honest, sagacious, sadiq and Amin, and that would have washed off the disqualification finding by this honorable court under 62(1)(f) of the Constitution. This is a court, my lord, with great respect, and I say so with the utmost humility, like many other concepts in this judgment, which is pure invention.
Abdul Sahab, I am still waiting for my answer.
My lord, this submission in your
And
lord
it will be triggered at the time of nomination, or this will be seen by the election tribunal. It is very
separately read in isolation. It is triggered at the time when the person files his nomination papers, at the time when the process of election commences with the issuance of the election schedule. If your lordship are to read the two articles together, then the words, my lord, qualified, elected or chosen are also there in 63. Then even if he passes that initial barrier and contests that election, but it is discovered that he suffers from a lack of those qualifications, then under 63, that will survive. So if your lordship is...
Who will see that? Election
tribunal. Election tribunal. My lord, because your lordships have held repeatedly that an election as provided in the Constitution cannot be called in question in any other manner except through an election tribunal to which an appeal lies, from which an appeal lies to this honorable
before the tribunal, the person who is contesting the candidature of that particular elected person, he has to produce that declaration that please see that it was not placed earlier before the returning officer.
Yes, my
so
lord.
he's not competent.
Yes, my lord.
You mean to say?
My lord, 63 does not talk of a declaration, so he will have to say that this person, now because of the language of 63, he was somebody who was disqualified from being elected, and therefore the 62(1)(f) declaration which I am now producing, you have to look at and disqualify. Now your lordships have said in Javed Hashmi's case that from the date the election schedule is issued till the time that a candidate is declared return, that is the process of election. And your lordships have created a very narrow window in Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi, where your lordships have held that where a candidate who has been disfranchised and his grievance cannot be rectified either during the process of election or post-election can come in a writ petition, where there has been a blatant illegality and disenfranchisement. So virtually referring to Article 17. Out of that narrow window, the bar of Article 225 as reasserted again and reiterated by a bench headed by Honorable Mr. Chief Justice Nasrul Mulk remains. So this declaration will not come from any court of civil jurisdiction, because a court of civil jurisdiction will say that in the context of elections, I do not have the jurisdiction to make this declaration.
One more question.